This segment of the Just Cooling podcast has been brought to you by the Tattoo Shop Radio and powered by Zeno FM.
Welcome back to another episode of Just Cooling Podcast. I am Country Red, and you are?
I'm DJ Quinn.
And I'm DawsonSJewellS.
We have a special guest, man. We had some bumps and rides before we started this show. We have a special guest by the name of Codak Smith, man. Finally, welcome to Just Cooling Podcast. But how you been, man? How you doing?
I'm good, really good. Hey, we worked through it. It's all good. We're here. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's an honor.
Likewise, man. So let's jump right into it for time's sake, man. So what inspires you to get into producing music?
I mean, first and foremost, just being a music fan. It wasn't really originally kind of on my radar about producing because I'm a visual artist long before I started doing music. But ever since I first started listening to hip hop music in the mid '80s, it's been a really big part of my life, and I've been lucky to be around a lot of really talented musicians and creatives over the course of my life. And then finally, I started tinkering with like a little IMPC thing when I would travel to work for a couple years.
Okay.
And then, one day I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to buy an MPC.
Mm.
And I mean, as soon as I got my fingers on it, I just haven't been able to stop really ever since. And, like I said, I've had a lot of friends that were producers over the years. So I've been around a lot of people using, drum machines and other kind of sampling equipment and stuff and DJs. So, and I've been buying and collecting records since the late '80s. So I'm familiar with the world. Just my own personal application with it didn't come till later. Just because I also, I was at a point in my life where I needed to exercise another part of my creative brain. I've been doing visual art since I was like 14 years old. So I just wanted to learn how to use another creative exercise, and music has been just a big part of my life. I was a b-boy for many years. I competed in b-boying and all that stuff. So dancing was a big part of my life for early 90s, kind of into the late 90s, early 2000s. So the idea of rhythm and creating music has always just kind of been in there. It was just more in the back of my head, and it just started to surface,
Okay. Was there like a particular hip hop song or just song in general that made you just feel like that caught your ear? Like, you know what? I gotta learn how to make something similar or something within the realm of hip hop or just music culture.
There's too many to just say one. But I mean, I could take it back all the way to like, hearing Microphone Fiend, boom, 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 boom. Just the simplicity of it, and then even like BDP's "I'm Still Number One" is like one of my all-time favorite songs, and also "You Must Learn." Like those are are like tracks that have like stayed consistent with me throughout like my life. So I would say like hearing and EPMD, "You Got to Chill." Like those are all things that have like the rhythms and the patterns have stuck with me through my life. So I think those things kind of manifested itself as like foundational points for me when I started like, making beats. But then I could also go off on a tangent about how every Gangstar album is also the blueprint. Illmatic's a blueprint. Freestyle Fellowship's a blueprint. Like we could talk about that forever. And music in general, man, I want to be clear because I'm also like really I grew up very much into hardcore music and punk rock music and
absolutely.
I love funk and soul. I love reggae music. I love dance hall. I love just like kind of electronic experimental music. I like music in general because they all kind of feed each other.
Right.
So,
do you remember who you made your first track for?
Well, the first track that I made for an MC, interestingly enough, was Micah 9 from Freestyle Fellowship.
Okay.
That was not something I ever thought would happen. The first song that I would make was with like a god MC.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
like he interestingly enough, I had him and LA Cool came and played my wife and I's wedding party.
Wow.
And
That's crazy.
I wasn't trying to announce to him that I make beats because I respect the craft. I respect all that stuff. I'm not trying to be that guy like, yo, I make beats, bro.
Right.
Something was on shuffle in my car and one of my tracks came on and he would ask me, he was like, yo, who's this? And I was like, that's me. and then he like, we went back to my house and he made me play him a whole bunch of stuff. And he was like, yo, I got to fuck with you. And I was like, well, it'd be an honor, you know? And then soon after that, LA Cool from Project Blow did a track with me. And it just kind of progressed from there, you know? I'm doing some stuff with Exalt the Anti, which is Gal Rock, and Meg Abusive that are also part of the Project Blow collective right now. I got some stuff with Longevity, who's a Dark Leaf, Project Blow, Good Life crew. And then I just got AC Alone signed on for a track for Burns and I's next project. So I'm just going to run with it.
Definitely run with that.
What is oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I insist.
No, you first.
Okay, speaking of the working with Burns, I know, right? We do this all day. Speaking of working with Burns, man, can you talk to us about the new album, Nobody Cares? Like, how was that process like with you and Burns? How'd you guys link up? How that went down?
So I moved to Tulsa in 2017 to it's kind of like a roundabout way in which we get to this that for an art residency program called the Tulsa Artist Fellowship. I've been living in Los Angeles for a lot of years, and I left to go do this art program. And I had been in town like maybe a week or something, and I went to the Sound Pony bar in Tulsa, and Burns was working the door. And at the time, I had a shaved head on. I had like a bomber jacket on. You know, I looked like a skinhead, like a, you know. And he's like, "Yo, you skinned?" And I was like,
"What?
No." And then, like, come to find out that he knows about like sharp skinheads against racial prejudice and like anti-racist skins and all that stuff. And we got to talking about music. I know he talked a little bit about it when he was on here. We got to talk about like punk rock and hardcore and hip hop and all that stuff. We just like hit it off, you know? And so I was checking for him. Like when he would play, I'd go check it out. And he was the first guy in Tulsa that I was like, all right, this dude, he's got it. He knows what's up. Like he's got, you know, this is an MC. This is the first guy here that I've seen that I could go, all right, that's an MC. There's other kids there. Like I'm not trying to knock them or whatever, you know, it just wasn't really my flavor of stuff. And he was doing it. And he's got charisma. He's got presence. You know, you can hear in his bars, you can hear life. You can hear his experience. Yeah. Like you can hear the validity and the soul behind it. And that's a big thing for me. And at this point I wasn't making beats, you know.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't really even gotten really into, I mean, I was tinkering, but I wasn't really like taking it serious. But then as soon as like, and I'm the kind of person that when I get into something, I'm like down the rabbit hole. I'm like, I'm going all in, you know? And when I had kind of done that and I was making some things that I was like, all right, this is like, I'm happy with what's going on. I hit him up. I was like, come through my house, come over to my house. I got some stuff. We should, you know, I want your feedback.
Right.
I want to hear, because I want to hear from somebody who I consider to be a good MC. I want you to say, this is good or this is whack. You know, I don't want a pat on the back.
Right.
I don't want to be like, oh, okay, you're doing all right over here. I want you to tell me it's tough.
Right.
And he was in, you know. And so we didn't really start working on anything right away. Like just life happened, pandemic happened, stuff like that, you know. And I gotta say, in regards to like really delving into beat making, the pandemic was actually probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because it gave me all kinds of time to just sit in my basement and just figure out how to work this equipment, you know. And so by the time that was kind of like easing up and whatnot, we kind of toyed around with the idea of working on some stuff still. And then, you know, I got married. We did this party. I was like, well, if I'm going to have somebody perform at this party local, I want Burn, because, I mean, I had kind of ulterior motives. Like, I wanted to be able to be like, look, dude, I'm not fucking around. These are the people that I'm bringing. These are the people that I know. In some of the people I know in the rap game.
Right.
Like, so we should do something.
Right.
And then, you know, of course, I move. But I'd already like dropped him off with some stuff. I'd hit him off with a bunch of beats, and then, you know, then he finally hit me up and he was like, I'm ready to go. And I was like, all right, here you go. Boom, we got a bunch of stuff. Let's knock this shit out. And that's kind of how that came together. And during that project, obviously, like, our relationship as far as like how we're working is evolving at the same time. You know, I feel like he respects my my history and culture. Like, he respects like my viewpoint, which I really appreciate, you know. And I respect his work ethic, and I mean, he's a character, man. Like, and that makes for a good MC, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know, and like he's got a lot to say, and I want to help him put it out there. You know, I kind of feel like I want to help at the same time as we're kind of helping each other. Like, I want to help Burns get out there more, man, because he deserves it. He's
right. He does.
He's a talented dude, you know, and he's getting respect from like OGs, you know, like he's getting in there with the Micah Nines and the ACs and all those guys, and they're giving him fucking daps, you know. So let's do it.
Right.
And then during the process of the Nobody Cares, I kind of let him run with the concept a little bit, but it was also because like I understood what he was saying. You know, like, I'm also somebody that's kind of like, I don't care about your Ferraris. I don't care about your flashy lifestyle or how many likes you got on Instagram. That doesn't mean anything to me. You know, that doesn't hold weight. That doesn't have spirituality, and that doesn't promote longevity and a positive, you know, vision. So, you know, let's run with this kind of this concept, because I'm with you on that. Like, and I wanted to say it without like being like middle fingers in the air, you know. I wanted it to be kind of like clever, you know, like some people would have to like listen to it, because that's what I'm from. I'm from like, oh, I got to listen to this tape over and over and over and over to try and dissect what's actually being said.
Right.
Because that actually, as a human being, that promoted my critical thinking abilities, like learning how to decipher like hip hop music, you know. I think that's a really underlooked kind of thing about like MCing and hip hop culture is you know, KRS-One was right when he's called it edutainment, you know, because there's education through music and lyrics, and like learning how to decipher what's being said by an MC really helps you develop like real critical thinking skills. I think. I could be wrong, but I'm still here. And you know, Burns is just dope. You know, he's just dope. And I came up because of his name. I was like, dude, we got to do something called burner phone, bro. Like, it's just like it's standing right in front of him, like standing right there. Like, it could not be more obvious, you know. And then this fool breaks out a burner phone. There we go, dude. All right. So that's going to be the next project, which he's got the tracks for it. He's got one recorded, and then he's been working on a couple of the other ones. And like I said, we just got Scarab from the Living Legends and AC Alone from Project Blood signed up for features on one of the tracks now. So it's pretty exciting. So.
Wow.
You did this album cover, right?
Yeah.
So what was the vision? Like how did you come up with that? How was that process for the album?
So to me, it's kind of like when you're, so I've lived in some major cities. I lived in Los Angeles. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. I live in Chicago now. And like, it's kind of this urban thing. It's like, we just don't have time. Like everybody's living their lives. They're moving at their own pace, doing their own thing. We don't really have time to stop and deal with drama, and it's not on some fuck you, I hate people kind of thing. It's just life. Like everybody's just going through the process of living their life. And that kind of plays into the like nobody cares kind of thing. And so I had this kind of idea of just like a city street, with fog and everything and yada yada yada. And that just kind of played into the design of that. And then I have a bachelor's in fine arts with a graphic design concentration. So I went to school for graphic design.
Okay.
And also I've been writing graffiti since 1988. That's where the name Codak comes from.
Right.
So I'm just at this point where I have all these different skill sets and I know how to kind of put them all together.
Simple, huh? Right.
I mean, it's simple, but it's just from years of doing
experience.
Work, And the funny thing is, like, it's like this is something that like I enjoy doing that, putting that. Like, when I was a graphic designer, I didn't always like working with a corporate client. Like, these whatever.
Right.
I hate doing this work, but like when I can take those skill sets and apply it into like doing album art, it's fun.
Right. Yeah. I like the album cover. I like all your art. Yeah.
And it makes it great for like, when I'm working on stuff like this, because if we need show flyers, I got it. We need album art, I got it. Like I had to come and tell Burns, I was like, bro, just trust me. I got it. I can take care of this.
Let me ask you, are you familiar with a lot of graffiti movies?
What I mean is like Beat Street, Wild Style, Star Wars, all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you then. Well, I'm gonna ask you this then. Wild Style or Style Wars? Which one? Pick
Style
one.
Wars.
Why?
Well, Wild Style is while it's kind of like documentary in nature, sort of. It's a fictional story.
Okay.
It's dope in the way that like Fab Five Freddy, Fab Five Freddy made the movie, and it introduces Lee as his character Zorro and all that stuff. You get introduced to Lady Pink and all this stuff, but it's a fictional story. Whereas Star Wars is a documentation of hip hop in New York in the late 70s and the early 80s. Not just graffiti. It's kind of the focal point because it's focused around the subway graffiti and whatnot, but it goes into DJing, it goes into rapping, it goes into b-boying, all that stuff. So it's more informative.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I've had the pleasure of meeting Henry Chiffon. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's up right there. We want to go into a commercial real quick?
Yeah.
Play some bills?
Let's do that. Yes, pay some
all right,
bills.
we pay some bills and we'll be right back.
If you're one of the millions of Americans overwhelmed by debt, Settle Bank Debt has a life-changing solution. We offer an aggressive approach to reducing your debt, often for a fraction of what you owe. Our debt settlement experts will help put a stop to the harassing phone calls, end your debt, and give you the financial freedom you deserve. Make the most important call of your financial life today. Call Settle Bank Debt now at 877-492-7222 or visit settlebankdebt.com.
Okay, welcome back. Before we jump back into the conversation, this is Just Cooling Podcast. We're here with Codak Smith. Make sure you guys check us out on the Hubb YouTube channel Fridays at 9 p.m. Central Time. Also check us out on our All Person YouTube channel, Just Cooling Podcast at 9 p.m. Central Time. The Tattoo Shop Radio, Fridays on Zeno.fm, 12 a.m. to 1 Eastern Time. Zeno.fm, and then also Cuzzle FM, straight out of Planet Funk, Raptor Music, all powered by Zeno.fm with additional monitoring by Online Radio Box. We are back.
Say that 10 times.
No, not no more. No. So tell us about the Trio's 4-year anniversary festival, man. What's that like?
Sure. Well, so I'd seen that kind of like pop up on social media and whatnot, and it turns out a good artist friend of mine, he goes by Dumper Foo. He's a Phoenix artist. He's been doing an event called the Blunt Club in Phoenix for, I think they're going on like 26-year anniversary or something. But he works at the store, and I saw the lineup. I was like, Freestyle Fellowship, Mystic, Journeyman, Volume 10, Medusa, Blue and Exile. Like, wow, that's a freaking lineup. Like, when is that going to happen again? So I was thinking about even like just getting on a plane and going out just to go see it. And then I used to do a lot of live art at events in LA, like a lot of hip hop events that happened in different places in the city. I get hired to do live art. So I hit him up and was like, well, I'd be down to come paint. And he was into it. And then I told him, I was like, well, I got this new like EP project that I just did with this MC from Tulsa named Burns. And, Burns had mentioned like coming out as well. And I was like, he's thinking of coming out. Is there any way we could get on like a mic and he could just like perform while I was painting or something?
Wow.
And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. And then 3 days later, I see a flyer with our name on it.
Or the headline, huh?
Yeah. No, it's just like, oh, okay, all right. So, and then, I've been doing a lot of work with this guy Pugs Adams in Chicago, and he and I have a couple songs that we've done, and I just randomly was like, yo, do you want to go? Because we've got these tracks, and if Burns is going to perform, he's also on one of the songs, the song Hell of a, on Nobody Cares. Would you want to come perform?
Song, by the way. Yeah.
Thanks, man. We just got the video wrapped. I just sent it to Burns. It'll be coming out soon.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, let's do it, because he and I also have some songs. And so I just kind of realized, I was like, well, I guess this is me unveiling my production work to the hip hop world.
Right.
Because before this, Burns had performed a couple times in Oklahoma, and I don't think Pugs had performed any of the stuff up here in Chicago. Nobody had really heard it outside of like what they heard on streaming services or whatever, never been performed.
Wow.
So, sometimes you got to throw caution to the wind and just go for it. So that's what I just decided to do. And my wife joined us out there. It was fun. It was good. It was hot, but the Trill is a trip, man. Like, that place is a trip. It's like you're walking into like a little hip hop time capsule. It's an interesting place, and I'm really like, I think it's really cool that there's a place that's doing that. That's kind of holding on to a part of the culture that has been largely pushed to the side. I mean, it's not gone, but like it's not out in front of everybody like it used to be. I'm 49 now, so I'm 48. I'll be 49 in like a couple months. So it's a different thing than when I was young, which that's how life is. It happens. Not a complaint. But it's good that they have this foot back in that time, and are helping keep it alive. So I was honored that I got to participate in it, and was honored that I got to kind of put myself out there Mike and Nine would be the first person that would rap on a track of mine. I never thought that the first place that somebody would perform music of mine would be in front of people that inspired me to do exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's a huge look, man.
Yeah.
You know, Medusa came up to me like later on that day and was like, "I gotta rap on your beats," and I was just like, "Wait, oh, hold on, what just happened?"
Right.
So it was cool, and I think Quentin came through in the clutch, helped us out because I'm not a DJ.
Hey, I got the call and I was like, I'm there. Matter of fact, I'm already here. So
Yeah,
right.
It's up the street.
You were right there, and and it was good. I think Burns had a good time. He kept kind of disappearing, but that's what he does.
So was that the first time all three of you guys were on the same stage performing the songs together?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, they were on the stage. I was in the crowd.
Okay, but that's still a good feeling, man. Like, man, I did that. I made the production on that. All right, you made the production.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on I'm setting some stuff up to start being the not really DJ, but to be performing the tracks with Burns. Like I'm getting some stuff set up to start doing that because it's how it should be. So.
I want to tap back in your artist side because I like art. I'm an artist myself. Well, I paint earrings. I hand paint earrings, and sometimes as an artist, you compare your art, or you say, is my art better than this person's, or do I need to do this and that? Explain to us how important it is to embrace your own creativity and to be okay with it.
Well, I mean that's a journey, and everybody gets to that in their own time, in their own place. I think, especially being when I was younger and being in the culture of like hip hop, which is incredibly competitive, part of the whole deal is like outdoing the next person.
Right.
It took me a long time to learn how to just kind of sit in my lane and understand that like, this is my lane.
Right.
This is mine. It doesn't mean I'm the only person that has a lane like this. There's going to be people that have something similar, but they're going through it in their own way, and this is mine. And that's kind of all I need, as long as I'm just like moving forward in that, like just trying to move forward creatively, whether it's, painting a wall, painting a train, painting a commission job, painting a painting, doing an illustration, designing a logo, designing an album cover, doing a tattoo, or making a beat. As long as I'm trying to put my best foot forward and not always trying to be in the mind state of like, I've got to do the best thing I've ever done every time.
Right.
Understanding that like, you're going to go through peaks and valleys with your creativity. And it's important to embrace that, because half the time when we think we're doing our worst work is when we're doing our best work.
Right. Yes. Someone else is like, oh, I like, and you think it's not, you'll be like, oh, I don't like this, but somebody else is like, I cannot
tell you how many times I've painted a wall and somebody is like, that's so ill. And I'm like, I hate that thing. But it just is what it is, man. I mean, it has to go like it. I think with age comes, I mean, it's cliche, but with age comes wisdom, and with age comes like being comfortable with who you are. And like the fact that I'm the age that I am and I'm still doing the things that I love, that I started doing when I was 12 years old, still here, and I'm still doing it, that tells me something, that like the universe has put me on this path. And as long as I'm listening, sometimes it's in one ear and right out the other, but I'm trying to listen and just keep moving forward. I'm doing the right thing. And it takes time.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, art's tricky, art, music, they're hard businesses. They're a hard life to live. People think it's easy. It's not easy.
Which one do you prefer more, the art or the
all
music?
feed each other, bro. I'm doing way more of the music right now, but that's because that's where I'm at, and I'm just I'm in this space where all of a sudden all these rap dreams that I've had since I was a teenager are like coming true in this weird ass way.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sit here and think that I don't have this conversation in my head. Like, am I having a midlife crisis? Like, do I need to go buy a Porsche or something? Like, what's
right?
Yeah. I mean, I did buy a lowrider like 4 years ago, so I mean, that could be part of it. But but I like to try and think of just like it's like this midlife rising. I'm just at this place where I'm comfortable with everything that I'm doing creatively, and I'm in this good space where it's like I just take that good energy that's coming in and just keep pushing it out, no matter what it is.
What type of lowrider did you buy? You say you bought a lowrider?
Well, I have a 1975 Delta 88 Oldsmobile ragtop.
Okay. Really?
Cream colored, maroon top.
Okay. I want to see. I got to see that. You got a picture of it? Well, we'll look at it later.
Oh, I got pictures. And I also have a 1962 Mercury Meteor sedan, old school, classic, just like good classic car.
You thinking about putting it in a car show?
Nah, I'm not really interested in getting it. Like, I know tons of fools from the lowrider scene and whatnot, and it just always it's like a whole other world of politics that I just don't want to get involved in.
Okay.
My thing is just like me and my wife just like getting in the car on a Sunday and just like cruising around, man. Like, just enjoying it. I got some subs in the trunk. We just bump it a little bit. And just, the unfortunate thing is they're back in Oklahoma at my dad's house right now because Chicago and parking and finding a place to put those things is like not fun. So anyway, I mean, bro, I lived in LA, man. I would see like
you have to
down Sunset all the time, and I just like, man, those vatos are having fun.
No, absolutely.
And even growing up in Portland, like some of the dudes that got me into graffiti were Cholo dudes from LA. His families had moved to Portland, and so they were always running around like playing like Kid Frost, La Raza videos and stuff like that with lowriders and shit. So even when I was a teenager, like these fools were always around me with like the cars and everything. So when I lived in California, I could never afford to have a car like that. But when I moved to Oklahoma and was in this art residency thing where I wasn't paying rent, all of a sudden, and I was tattooing, so all of a sudden I had cheddar. And I was like, well, let me invest it in something, kind of hide my money in something.
Right.
I didn't hear that. But, you know what I mean? So I bought one.
Right. We get you. We follow. Man, so what are your next? You guys.
I don't want to.
I'm going to ask them, like, what are your next? Yeah, let me get this in real quick. So, we already had a lot of bad internet connections and stuff. So let me, before we start this, I just don't know yet. So, what are the next visuals or songs or videos you guys are going to do after Nobody Cares album?
Okay,
like,
so
what's next up?
We've done 2 videos. So we've done one for Nobody Cares.
Okay.
We shot both of them over the course of a weekend up here in Chicago. Pugs helped direct the videos. And I put that one online using some like DistroKid video thing, but it seems to have like disappeared into the ether. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Okay.
That's crazy. We was looking for that when y'all had came out, and we couldn't find it.
I don't know what's going on with that. So I just got a final cut for the hell of a video from Pugs, and I'm just handing them off to Burns because he apparently has like connects for putting them out. So I was like, here, just take those. For some reason, this is the one thing that I can't figure out. So you can take care of that one. I am hoping at some point to press the EP as vinyl. I'm just trying to figure out if we do sort of like a Kickstarter pre-order thing to cover the cost, because as you guys know, this stuff starts to get expensive when you get into the production of music. And then obviously we're working on the burner phone project. Right now it's going to be at 10 songs.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that I can get, like, the one thing I learned in Phoenix is I need product. You know, I had a whole bunch of stickers. That was all I had. So I need to get shirts and
apparel and stuff.
And merch and stuff, because we are talking about a small tour right now for the end of summer.
Okay.
With AC Alone, we're talking with AC Alone about it, starting in Chicago, going to St. Louis, Memphis, Tulsa, and Kansas City.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm also like saying this to put this out into the ether that this all happens, because we are kind of going back and forth trying to figure some things out right now. And I know Burns has got a couple of shows already booked on his schedule that kind of float around the same timeline. So we're trying to figure out what we can make happen.
Okay.
But I want to have this stuff. My goal is to have this stuff by the end of summer so that we can have some product to start putting out there, you know, especially since people are buying vinyl again, you know, like, you know, and now you can get them in small batch runs for not crazy expensive. It's still a little expensive, but, you know, I don't know. The funny thing is, like, this is all, I've completely thrown myself into the lion's den. Like, I'm learning all of this new stuff as I'm just winging it.
Welcome.
You're doing a good job.
But you know, I mean, you know, we're all adults here. Like, that's the best way to learn sometimes. Is get your hands dirty, you know, and just get it done.
Right.
You know,
that's it. That's what it's all about. So, can't be scared of the porch.
What?
All right. So,
I think she has a question.
No, let my brother go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
I'm just
making sure I have my questions. He's like, you did your homework, so I'm just trying to get my questions.
Okay, Sister Soldier, come on. Let's go. Let's have it.
I was going to ask him, you know, my favorite question. So I asked all the guests what's their why and what pushes them, what motivates them to keep going, and what is your why?
My why? I mean, I would say part of it is the endless pursuit of style. You know, like pushing style. That comes from graffiti because, you know, letters are often referred to as like a style, like you're pushing your style. But I say that context can be floated into anything, because whatever you're doing, you know, creatively, you're doing it in your style. So I just want to keep pushing. It's just this incessant thing. Like, there might be a part of me that like needs validation. I don't know. Maybe I got dropped on my head as a kid. I'm not sure. But like, it still means a lot to me to have like my peers say like, yo, that shit is dope. That means a lot. That means a lot to me.
Of course.
And, you know, and I like it when a young kid younger person comes up to me and is like, yo, I really I'm inspired by the things that you've done. And I'll be in the most random places and somebody will be like, hey, Codak. I'm like, fuck, you know who I am. and they'll be like, yeah, you know, I love your artwork. You inspire me to keep doing what I'm doing. And like, that's gold. You know, that's worth more than money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right, man. Spot on with that.
I agree.
Even though we need money, but, you know.
Yeah.
Hugs are good too.
Yeah, those are facts.
All right, we're gonna kill this last little pay this bill real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Paid in full, huh?
We gotta pay the bills, you know. Sponsorships. All right, we'll be back.
All right.
Right.
back.
Versace Red and DawsonSJewellS. So, we'll get you with this, Codak. So, if you could produce or do a tattoo for 5 people dead or alive, who would it be?
If I could produce or do a tattoo?
Yes,
what if it was both? What I can't do both?
You could.
You can. Yeah. Yes, let's go with that. Let's roll with it.
Guru. I'd love to produce for Guru.
Okay.
Gosh. I mean, that's just like such a rabbit hole of like.
I know.
I'm like the guy that somebody's like, "What's your favorite movie?" Like, or "What's your favorite food?" It's like, well, how much time do you have?
Produce in this moment right now. Though.
Guru for sure. You know, I would have loved to have been able to do something for Guru.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I don't mean this as a diss to this MC, but like Microphone Fiend era Rakim.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know, that's definitely up there. I mean, I'm kind of making some of them come true because AC Alone is one of my favorite MCs of all time, and I'm producing a song for him. So
you got to say that person's name. Put them in there.
Number
3.
AC Alone.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with like the living legends at all? Like Eli, the Grouch and Eli. Like I'm really
from out of California, right?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Eli. He's also somebody I'm a sober person, and he's a sober MC, and he's very like kind of inspirational in that aspect for me as well. Man, motherfucking LP. I'd love to produce a song for LP, but he already is he's a good producer. He doesn't need me. How many was that? Was that 4?
That was 5.
That was 5. Who coming off the bench? Who the 6th man? We'll do one more.
Oh, God. Well, Time's Up era OC.
Wow. OC digging in the crates.
My homies in Memphis, they do this DJ thing at the old train station. They just had Diamond D perform there, play there the other
day.
Yeah. Pretty tight.
Yeah,
Tattoo wise, oh man. I don't know. I might have to move on from that one. Because that's kind of a different thing. Like I don't know how to explain it, but because most other tattooers, like that I'd want to tattoo, are already tattooed. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So if I was doing something on them, it'd probably be covering up something else. So I don't really, I don't know. I have a lot of great clients. I'm good.
What do you find out? What do you find that's the hardest thing doing when you do a tattoo? Is it drawing? Is it shading? Is it?
Well, no. It usually will have to do with the placement where it is on the body, and if it's a not the most fun area, it's trying to like if it's painful.
Wait a
let's
minute.
just be real. Like if you're in a painful spot, it's trying to keep your client out of their head too much. You know what I mean? To try and keep their focus away from. Like you can't ever take them fully away from like, oh, this guy's blasting my rib cage, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But like, if you can keep them kind of engaged, like talking to them, they're not as focused.
Right.
You know, like part of your job, what people don't really understand as a tattooer, is part of your job is to guide your client through the peaks and valleys of the experience. Because because there's times where it's going to be not so bad, and there's times where it's going to suck, and it's going to fluctuate. You know.
No tattoos.
Makes sense.
No tattoos.
Well,
I mean, you know,
in the beginning of life, my daddy was like, "Hell no,
sure.
you can't do it." And then it was an era in college I was supposed to do it. I missed that era, and now I'm just like, whatever.
I mean, I tell people all the time, it's not for everybody. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you don't have a tattoo, I'm not. It's not like I'm going to go like, oh, you're not part of my club. You ain't got no tattoos. Like, whatever. All good.
I would have gotten one if I wasn't afraid I would get in trouble. But
you still got plenty of time. I went and got my first tattoo the day I turned 18. I got my appointment 2 days prior, and I went and got it the day I turned 18.
My son did that, yeah.
My mama was not happy.
Exactly. My son did that, and Terma found out he had 2 or 3.
Uh-huh. Well, the news is, as long as you keep with it or whatnot, now I'm the painted boy. So it all worked out good.
That's funny.
More questions?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought my brother was gonna cut me off. I was trying to wait for him to say something.
No, I'm not cutting nobody out. I'm just here so
playing. I'm just playing. Do you remember, like, what is your favorite tattoo to do?
Well, I don't really have a favorite tattoo to do. I have a style that I'm known for. It's kind of like abstract, like my art and whatnot, you know, and pretty much anytime I'm most of my clients, I would say 80% of my clients that come to me are coming to me for the kind of work that I do. So it's all my favorite tattoo. And I'm very, like, conscious of the fact that, like, somebody is coming to me asking me to put part of myself on their body for the rest of their life. Like, that's an honor. Like, you know, like, that's amazing. You know, it's not, you know, anybody can go get a panther or a rose that says mom or something or whatnot, or a script tattoo or something, but like, I provide something that is specific to me. So the fact that you want that, like, I appreciate that a great deal.
Yeah.
And it's like with the music, you know, it's like I appreciate that Burns and these people are even, like, messing with me because, you know.
No, that makes sense.
I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I you know, blessed, as they would say, I guess. I don't know. Just a nerd.
He said just a nerd.
Man,
hey, I need some of them beats though, Kodak. How can everybody find your beats, or, you know, if they want to get a beat from you?
Your art, I'm gonna find that art.
And your art.
So, I have a couple projects that are up on Spotify right now, and like the Nobody Cares project. If you search for Burns and Codak, will come up. But I also have I have a beat tape that I put out like later last year. It's called Fragments.
Yeah, I'm looking for that.
But if you search for Kodak Smith, and let's be clear, the Kodak is with a C at the beginning, not a K. It worked better as a hand style for the C to have a C than a K. All right.
Hey, you know what? That's my bad on that. I was looking for your number, right? And I called Burns. I was like, Burns, what is Kodak's number? And he was like, he sent it to me, and then I clicked on it, and I was like, I got his number, but I was putting K in there. No, C.
Bang, bang, bang.
Bang. Yeah, my bad.
So I have this kind of like this. So there's kind of two egos, like alter egos. So there's Kodak Smith, which is kind of more in line with art.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was calling the production thing the gray arc, because a lot of art that I do involves arcs, and I was raised by an architect. And I'm very into the use of, like, gray in a lot of my art, muted tones and gray in my art. But I'm kind of actually starting to pull away from the gray arc part. Part of it was this whole thing that I felt like I needed to kind of hide my identity away from most people. Like I didn't want them to know that the production was coming from me. I wanted them to kind of like come to that realization on their own, like later. A lot of my like beat production friends, like, because this goes back to what I was saying, where it's like I respect the craft, where I wasn't trying to run in and be like, yo, I'm this super dope producer, blah, blah, blah. I kind of wanted to build a name where they would go searching and then they would figure out it was me. But Pugs was like, no, dude, you're being stupid. You already have a following as Codak. They know you as Codak. Just go as Kodak. And he's right. So,
yeah,
whatever. But currently on Spotify, if you search Kodak Smith, The Gray Arc, it will take you to the page that has this beat tape. There's 2 singles on it. One is with Mike and I, Meg Abusive, and a DJ named DJ Word, who's from Berlin, that I met in Berlin last year.
Oh, okay.
It's a real dope song. It's called Straight No Changer. And then there's another song called IYKYK with Pugs that we put out recently. He and I are also working on a project. We've got about 5 tracks together. And we've got 5 more to do, and then we're going to probably put a little project out. And then I have the Bandcamp page, which is also just, bandcamp.com/Kodak Smith, The Gray Arc. And that has the Nobody Cares project, the beat mixtape that I made the year before with the DJ from Tulsa, DJ Somar, who mixed it and cut it and scratched it. And then a song with Mike and I and LA Cool are on there too. That's kind of it for right now. I'm working on another beat tape right now. I've got most of the tracks picked out. I'm calling it the Sunrise Destroyer. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of summer as well. I mean, the tracks are all picked out. I've just got to kind of finalize the mixes and get them mastered and all that kind of stuff. And then I will probably put 1 or 2 vocal tracks. It'll be all mainly instrumental, but I'll probably put 1 or 2 single tracks on the end of it. One of them will probably be the song that I'm doing with the Exalt, the Anti from Project Blowed. And then maybe another song that's going to be also going on a burner phone that has LA Cool from Hip Hop Clan, Project Blowed, and Burns, and this guy Longevity as well. That's the plan. So
That's dope. Hopefully that'll come together, man. Does anybody have any more questions before I do the closing quote? Anybody going once, going twice, going twice?
I'm just playing.
All right, so usually Kodak, before we close our show, I like to end with a positive closing quote. So hopefully you guys will like it. All right, go like this. Don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come. Get up and make them. I'm gonna say it again. It's pretty simple. Don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come. Get up and make them, by Madam C.J. Walker.
I'm Madam C.J. Walker.
Yeah, just go out there and get it, man. Don't wait on opportunities to come to you. So I want to leave you guys with that. With that being said, man, we are Just Cooling Podcast. Thank you, Kodak Smith.
Thank you, Kodak. We appreciate you. Hey, Kodak, anytime you need a DJ, I'm available. I ain't doing nothing. I'm off.
I got you, bro. Like I said, we're working on a little tour. We may need you.
Hey, I'm there. Let me be the tour DJ. I'll rock it for sure.
If you just need an extra ear on the beats you make it, man, I'm here too,
All right. Well, shoot me your emails or whatnot, and I'll send you guys a little package.
That'll work,
Absolutely.
brother. All right, we are out here. Peace.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Just cooling.